Friends, how are you doing? I hope everyone is well. I thought we would just have a nice little, touch base here with what's going on. So, this week we had in market was a banging market week. I mean, it was crazy. A lot of great numbers, a lot of great running here, and S&P 500 is looking for 6,000 points, and it's probably going to get it here sooner than later. And one of the big things that I've been yapping my mouth about here is that we could potentially be going into a bull run here in the market. I mean, it could be happening now. That doesn't mean that there could be travesty, days of confusion coming here in the market, but all in all, the market could just keep pushing itself into new gears, and we're going to hit some walls here along the way, but we're going to break through them here eventually. So I think we could be in a situation with this market where we're obviously going to get back 6,000 points in the S&P 500, but with that, we could be making up new numbers in the S&P 500, which is really, really exciting. It's really exciting because we could be making a shocking amount of money here sooner than what we think. So, friends, let's dig into Big Bear. Let's dig into Palantir. And I just want to touch base on both these situations right now. So obviously, let's talk about Big Bear first. The situation of what we're going through right now. The next big thing that will be, sorry, I got something on my computer. The next big thing that we will be dealing with Big Bear is, as far as we know, is going to be this lawsuit situation wrapping up here at the beginning of June. Now, obviously, before then, who knows, something could happen here. Maybe we'll see another deal take place, a partnership, who knows. But other than that, I think once this lawsuit messy situation gets cleaned up here, we don't see any more articles about it, it's dust in the wind, it's obviously going to be a better situation for, we're not seeing, article after article from law firms, say like, well, if you were done wrong by Big Bear here, contact us, we'll help you sue the heck out of them. Those are going to be gone, so that would be good. Second of all, it's going to be interesting if Big Bear can snatch up another deal. So obviously, I think the main thing you have to think about too is that Big Bear's in this very unique situation where, what do we know from Trump's first run, as president? Well, he spent all the money actually with defense, okay? So a lot of defense companies, tech companies as well, did very well in those 4 years that Trump was president the first time. Now, the second go around, Trump is like doubling down on that, and he is really pushing defense once again, which is why we're seeing companies, these tech companies more than not, like Palantir. Palantir's been in the pocket here for a while now, but Big Bear as well start to get up these defense contracts. So Big Bear here with their new CEO, Kevin, who has ties to Trump from the past, who has a military background himself. Kevin, the new CEO, like I've been talking about here. It's I think we're seeing, some pretty big breadcrumbs be left, on the road here, this new road that's forming here with Big Bear. So I get where there is a crowd of people going, Big Bear is going to do big things. It could be $10 by the end of the year. We're going to see this is the beginning stages of something very special. And then I see the other side of the group going, Big Bear's not doing anything. You're going to be lucky to not find yourself in a reverse split with Big Bear here by the end of the year. I get both sides 100%, and I try to be, equal to both because I get it. I get the situation. Big Bear, I will fully admit, as much as I am in it, I still will tell you 100% it is a dangerous situation. Now, the only thing that's going to change it not being a dangerous situation is if they can get some kind of whomper, big, huge deal that we have never seen the company get. And what kind of deal would that be? Well, for Big Bear has not even been in a situation where it's made over $200 million in 1 year. Now, $200 million, when you talk about tech stocks, that's not that big of a deal. I mean, look at Palantir. Palantir, on some of their deals that they've just gotten recently, they're breaking over $1 billion a deal. Okay, and obviously that's chopped up through the years here, but Big Bear, if Big Bear could seal up man, if they could get it like some kind of huge deal for them with either defense or somebody for, $500 million, That right there would be the ticket of, okay, Big Bear is in a whole new revenue stream. Big Bear is going to be able to pay off debt. Big Bear is going to be able to obviously start really putting money into the company more, and we're going to see Big Bear probably continue into getting bigger deals, because once a company starts to get more deals and bigger deals, they start getting, essentially more work, more deals. If you are in the stock market and you follow your companies that you're investing in, you'll notice that you'll see that companies that you invest in, they just start to pick up more and more as they get more business. They get more business, and that's why companies' stocks grow when they're on this pattern of they've got a good product, they're doing good with their money, things are changing, and Big Bear is I think it's a little bit in that situation. So I get both sides of, the room here. I really do. I get, and trust me, I get all the comments about it. But, I am not telling you to buy Big Bear. So if you're buying Big Bear, you buy Big Bear because you want to be a part of Big Bear, okay? I'm talking about Big Bear because I got a big mouth and I got a YouTube channel, okay? And if you're here listening, I appreciate it. I really do mean that. But what I will tell you is that right now we're seeing a lot more positive with Big Bear than we are negative. Now, that narrative was not there 6 months ago. 6 months ago, Big Bear was struggling to even hold $1. This was a different situation, okay? So this was a situation where, Big Bear was not getting a lot of deals. And then, right in November, they got that big government contract, defense contract for right under $200 million spread out over 3.5 years, I think it was. And then month by month, they kept getting more defense contracts. So essentially every 45 to 55 days since then, they have achieved another government contract, partnership, something in that aspect. So with that, and then too, I will speak on this once again, just for, if you don't know, you should know because it is important. Big Bear, when they came out with their Q1 here for 2025, they did not meet expectation, but it was the closest they have come here in years. It was better than 2024. They were so close to actually meeting what they need to hit. Now, they didn't hit it, but this was still positive in the light of okay, well, they're actually doing better because they almost hit it. Like before, they don't even come close. I mean, they're so far off the table. It's ridiculous. So there is improvement. Now, it's obviously there's people here who go it's too slow for me. I've got to go somewhere else. I get that 100%. I do think Big Bear is in this very special situation that if it could lock up more, even just keep getting these little deals, just keep getting these deals, okay? Just keep getting them. And then maybe sometime this year, they will lock in the biggest mama jama deal they've ever locked in, okay? That's what we want. That's the fairy tale story, okay? And is that going to happen? I don't know. But I think that's what a lot of us are hoping for at this point. So friends, I think Big Bear's doing great. I'm going to be honest. Big Bear's, it broke into $4 this week, okay? That is huge. Listen, I have a YouTube channel, so I see first and foremost all the negative around Big Bear and all the positive, okay? There are plenty of people saying and believing that Big Bear is going back down to $1, that you're crazy for putting your money into it. And then there's another side of the room where we're going, no, Big Bear's moving in the right direction. Something could happen here. And like I said, I get both sides. Now, for just to, make both sides happy, for the side that says Big Bear is doing something very good here, very positive, yes, they are. Things are going positive right now. They're better than they've ever been for Big Bear at this point. So with that, I'm very excited and very enthusiastic and very optimistic that something more will take place this year. It's very early in the year. It's only May, for God's sakes. So something could happen here, okay? And they are paying off debt. They're getting it down. Second, for the other side of the group, yes, I completely understand that Big Bear has debt. I completely understand that Big Bear needs bigger and more deals at this point. And that those are the two big things right now. So if they can mush those two things together, they'll be fine. Okay? Listen, if you're expecting Big Bear to go to $100 this year, you have lost your mind at this point. if we close out December of 2025 with Big Bear at even $7 to $8, dude, it's a win. It is a win, because you got to think, look at Big Bear right now. People that are buying Big Bear at $2, $3, $4, maybe $5 here sooner than we think. If you end the year out with, 500, 1,000 shares, maybe a few thousand shares of Big Bear, we're at $8 by the end of the year. Dude, that's a win. That's a solid win. And then 2026 does even better for them financially. That's a win. That's a good investment right there. So, yeah, like I said, I'm very optimistic that Big Bear is going to do something better. Now, listen, if Big Bear comes out tomorrow and says, like, things are going terrible, we've actually lost a few of those government contracts, I'll pull my money out with a loss and I'm out of here. I will be the first to tell you, like, hey, it didn't work out. But right now, things are going good. Things are getting better. So, yeah, listen, I have a small YouTube channel, so it's not like me making a video about Big Bear. Like, I can change the whole algorithm and volume on Big Bear. Like, even if 5,000 people watch this video, it's not like, are all of them going to go buy 2,000 shares of Big Bear? I don't think so. So I'm hoping that Big Bear will continue to get deals. I'm hoping that the stock will to survive, and maybe by this week, if we see another run in the market, which we possibly will, that Big Bear can break into $4 and start to move up slowly into a $5 position. That's what we want. That's what we hope. We'll see if we get it. So Palantir is in a position right now where we've achieved over $100. We have hit 110, we've hit 120, we're in 130 zone here. 140, I don't think it's that crazy that we're going to see it sooner than later. What I will say is that I think Palantir will find a wall here eventually before Q2 to come out. Now, obviously, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Q2 is obviously, put a check mark next to it. It's a wrap, okay? We know Q2 2025 is going to be good, because you know why? Because they still have all the deals that are coming in. The NATO deal they just signed, they signed the paper on, that hasn't even touched a quarterly yet. So that'll be coming in. Not to mention, Palantir is working in a partnership right now with other tech stocks. So, dude, there's a lot more to come here. A lot more. But I do think, undoubtedly, there's got to come a moment here where people go, all right, Palantir 140, whoo, that's a lot. Obviously, it's way overpriced. We get it. But, I think it's very possible here sooner than later to hit 140, probably more than likely sooner than we think. On top of that, could Palantir make it to 150, 160? Maybe, if volume continues to tick up. The problem to say that couldn't happen is that Palantir is in a position to where it's getting more deals. It's, you've got Alex Cart flying around the world right now, looking for deals. You've got Palantir getting more deals. You've got Palantir still in this very much, very positive zone right now with, people like Dan Ives, other big investors going like, yeah, it's going to be $1 trillion market cap here before we know it. In the coming years, Palantir is going to be $1 trillion market cap. And then you've got articles being written about Palantir saying Palantir more than likely will be in a stock split here in the future. Crazy to think that. I mean, just absolutely insane. So Palantir undoubtedly is just a feeding frenzy right now. It's just crazy. It is crazy that, listen, we could be watching a company right now that is, this could be a household name for a company here, in the future. I think a lot of people know what NVIDIA is at this point. Just because all the news in the past 2 years with NVIDIA and how NVIDIA has just changed people's lives. So, think about this too. NVIDIA, a lot of people just found out what NVIDIA was the last year, 2 years, but NVIDIA has been doing well as a company here the last, 5, almost 10 years. NVIDIA has had other splits before the last two we just saw here, okay, especially the last one. Palantir is still such in this very youthful stage of life to where, think about 5 years from now, think about 10 years from now. My God, think about where you could be as an investor. Maybe you have 2 shares, 5 shares, 10 shares, 20 shares, 40 shares, 80 shares. Maybe you've got 500, maybe you got 1,000. My God, imagine if you were to get up in a stock split with Palantir here, and then you held it into your retirement or something. Friends, it would be, for a lot of people, it would be more than what just a person working a blue-collar 9-to-5 job has in their retirement after 20 years. I mean, imagine that. And not to mention, tech stocks are famous for just like, once they have one stock split, the stock will keep running. The company will keep finding money. And then they'll get another stock split. Like, just because a company has one stock split, it doesn't mean it's never going to have another one. 2 years can happen before you know it. 5 years before you know it. 7 years before you know it. A decade before you know it. And you could have insane amount of money. That's called investing. That's called a good move. So friends, I really wouldn't count out what is going on with either of these stocks. They're obviously completely different when it comes to finances, completely different when it comes to trust with investors, and completely different when it comes to their path where they're at right now. But nonetheless, I think Palantir is obviously a solid investment still, even at these high prices, and there's still money to be made with it. And Big Bear, more than likely, Big Bear at this point, it's already locked in so many deals up until now. It's going to continue to have better quarterlies this year, but if they can keep locking in deals, there's going to come a moment here, maybe halfway in the year, maybe later in the year, where we just know, like, okay, Big Bear is about to have the biggest quarterly they've ever had, and the stock is going to shoot up like a rocket ship, okay? That could happen sooner than we think here. Do not be shocked to see Big Bear to survive the winds of what is coming in the market, good or bad, especially bad. Friends, take care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon. Bye, everyone.